Good afternoon, everyone. So our first words, mutually agreed upon, are thank you. Thank you, Rashida. Thank you, Tina, Saidia. Thank you, Simone. Thank you all for creating this space for us and for all of us to be here. I think we all feel marveled is a word. Shall we begin?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a story of stories. This is the story of a collaboration and a series of exchanges that span nearly 20 years. This is a transatlantic, Afro-diasporic encounter. France, by way of the Ivory Coast, Europe, Africa, the United States, by way of the Caribbean, the Americas, in New York, in Paris, in Venice.
Maîtrise les cérémonies lunatiques, ainsi est la vie, chaos et harmonie, harmonie, évoque le pouvoir dans les mentalités corrompues.
This is the story of a little book and its first translation, a transfer of the I, on the basis of trust and understanding, a practice of diaspora. The book is only the point of departure of a long journey. The book is both pretext and matière première,
Raw material.
It is anchored in the past, ponders the present, and holds high hopes for the future. This is a story of an offering.
This book has created, among much else, a space of transrelation, a space for the expression of our shared commitment to a larger project of Afro-fluency. Afro-fluency, that is, a recognition of the common experiences of racialized being in this world, and a submarine yearning toward borderless connection. A yearning that attests also to the fugitivity, the instability, the contingency, the idiosyncrasy of Blackness in a global frame. Transatlantic, Afro-diasporic encounter, France by way of the Ivory Coast, Europe, Africa, the United States by way of the Caribbean, the Americas, in New York, in Paris, in Venice.
This is about the possibility words can offer, but also the impossibilities, the limitations of words. A mother watching the video footage of her son's murder in a court of law does not, cannot speak. She utters something. She utters a sound. This wordless sound, at once opaque and untranslatable, generous and capacious in its offering of a common space in which to know, to recognize, to acknowledge, and to feel. Je dédie ce livre au regretté Dr. Colin A. Palmer, 1944-2019, maître de la diaspora, HNIC, qui n'a pas son deux. Au-delà de l'inestimable savoir transmis, il m'a proclamée Miss France dès 1999. D'abord étonnée et perplexe, je n'ai été en mesure de saisir la portée symbolique de cette période que des années plus tard. Je conserve et prends soin de la précieuse couronne depuis. Pour cela, il me tient à cœur de lui témoigner mon éternelle gratitude.
It is important to establish a frame, to set some parameters. We want to be clear what we're talking about. In fact, we must be clear what we're talking about. Words, terminology, they have meaning. And sometimes it is a good thing to go back to their original definition, precisely so that we may know what is at stake.
Que l'on dise, que l'on utilise les termes maître, blanc, mâle, riche, chrétien, civilisé, hétérosexuel, valide, métarécit ou encore discours dominant. chacun renvoie aux mêmes structures politiques hiérarchisées mises en place par l'Occident depuis son entrée dans l'ère moderne.
Subversion, it happens through refusal. It happens by opposing the deafening silence and toxic denial. It happens through the use of the pronoun I. So I am advocating for a form of unabashed solipsism. I consider my being, its sensations and its feelings, as constitutive of the only existing reality I can be sure of. My being, the life I have lived, my experiences constitute the foundations of my legitimacy and my authority. No one can speak in my place.
Alors le point de départ, ce doit être le chaos et son acceptation totale. Il est question du chaos de l'histoire, le chaos des dispersions séculaires. Ce chaos s'est aussi immiscé dans les parties les plus secrètes, les plus intimes de ma vie. Perhaps we must recognize and accept both the permanence and the legitimacy of this chaos. It is based on rupture, invisibility, unspeakability, inaudibility, silence, and incessant movement. It is based in what is unknown, what is impossible to recognize or to know, in mystery and in stories, great and small.
Between the French language and myself stands history, an ancient history, at once rich and complex, international, splendid and painful, silent, forgotten, or quite simply denied. Pourtant, j'existe. Mais ça suffit. Ce détour doit être le dernier. Cette tentative d'explication doit être l'ultime. Parce que les explications, de même que les démonstrations, n'ont cessé d'être fournies et produites depuis des siècles. Qu'est-ce qui n'a pas été compris? Qu'est-ce qui est si difficile à saisir?
We know that any system of domination, because it implicates human beings, be they inferiorized, minoritized, or dehumanized, is inevitably called on to confront strategies of resistance put into action by those most subjugated, most marginalized, and most violently affected by that system. These forms of resistance and contestation punctuate the history of the entire diaspora and include those of the African continent itself. Whether it be a question of Queen Jinga's defiance in the face of Portuguese authority, the echo of the explosion planned and directed by Colonel Delgrès at Fort Matouba in Guadeloupe, heard throughout Black America and preserved in its memory, or the luminous revolt of the enslaved of Saint-Domingue, which gave birth to the world's first Black Republic, a republic that in the space of an instant gave true substance to the supposed universal ideals of the French Revolution of 1789. Whether it be a matter of the two victories of Imperial Ethiopia in the face of Italy's colonial assaults, the Rastafari awakening in Jamaica that produced reggae music, and whose international success unceasingly reminds us of the importance of grounded truth. Or, for that matter, the Martinican sisters Paulette and Jeanne Nardal, graduates of the Sorbonne, translators and hosts of a celebrated literary salon, who laid the groundwork that allowed the monumental movement of negritude to flower. Or, finally, whether it be a question of a French and Martinican psychiatrist who, having been enlightened, joined the anti-colonial resistance in Algeria, or the victory of that very same Algerian nation in the face of France's arrogance and denial, or Dien Bien Phu, or the group of women who declare themselves unapologetically Black, or an anti-racist march across all of France in 1983, or rap songs in French, one of which in particular describes France as a land where, quote, the fascists are furious and niggas and ready to face their fire, unquote. or documentaries that persist in seeking out tenderness where its absence is expected, or in speaking up, projecting the bodies of Black lady liberties onto white screens. These acts of resistance have been relentless.
À chaque nation, son noir. Je décide d'être noire. Cette identité noire a des implications ainsi que des conséquences. La distance m'est impossible. Je ne la désire même pas. Je lui préfère le point de vue, l'approche, l'analyse située. Car, en vérité, nous le sommes toutes et tous. L'universalisme n'existe pas. Il est lui-même situé. Mon impression était que d'une certaine manière, je n'étais pas à ma place. Il fallait que je m'explique, que j'explique ma présence, que j'explique le fait que j'étais noire. Je n'étais pas à ma place. En anglais, je suis libre. Je peux m'exprimer sans entrave. Je peux me réinventer. Mais ce faisant, je crée et instaure de nouveaux silences. En anglais, je suis libre.
My blood, my family, Soumahoro and Binate, vertical, horizontal, extended, Mungani, Cottrell, Monnier, Hall, moderne, Églantine, continental and diasporic, constitutes the bedrock which I have had the good fortune and happiness of being supported by. I thank each member of our 3 generations engaged in this French experience. You are everything to me, the ground and the source. Mamadou and Alassane, my brothers. Massiami, Mabintu, Momian, Namizata, and Miriam, they are no more precious sisters than you. Naomi, Ismaël, Iman, Soela, Lana, Diane, Rémi, Kayla, Lola, and those to come. Over to you. Tubamuso, Nokru, Binate, Soumahoro, my mother.
This collaboration was an intention.
Cette collaboration était une intention.
This collaboration was a choice.
Cette collaboration était un choix.
This collaboration is an offering.
Cette collaboration est une offrande.
This collaboration is precious.
Cette collaboration est précieuse.
This collaboration is a journey.
Cette collaboration est une expédition.
This collaboration is ongoing.
Cette collaboration est infinie.
Elle n'a pas de fin.
Elle n'a pas de fin.